Hi Gateway, just wanted to share a few thoughts with you around the preach that we did on Sunday and throw out some questions for you to discuss. So the passage we were looking at was in Ruth chapter 1 verses 6 to 22. We were looking at the relationship between Ruth and Naomi. So why don't you just read that passage now to remind yourself. Ruth 1 verses 6 to 22. Okay, so I looked at 3 different things we can learn about discipleship from the book of Ruth, and these were number 1, commitment, number 2, sacrifice, and number 3, journeying together. And so commitment then, question 1, why don't you talk about some of the commitments that you've made in the past or are making now, and what keeps you committed to them? Or what doesn't keep you committed? What stops you from staying committed? And you can talk about any experience you've had in your life. And then we looked at how Ruth was committed to God. She was committed to her friendship with Naomi, and she was committed to learning and growing her relationship with God. So question 2, how can we stay committed to God in these 3 areas? And commitment to Him, commitment to relationships and friendships that help us to grow, and actually making that commitment to say, I want to grow, I want to learn, I want to become more like you, Jesus. Okay, section 2 was on sacrifice, and Ruth basically gave up everything, her home, her family, her identity as a Moabite, and actually potential future prospects. She gave all that up to go with Naomi, to follow God, and to keep growing in Him. Similarly to how the disciples gave up their jobs and families almost to go and travel with Jesus, and how Jesus Himself gave up everything for us, and He calls us now to a life of sacrifice. Following Jesus is incredibly costly, but incredibly worth it too. It cost Ruth everything, but it was so worth it. And you might want to go away and read the end of the book of Ruth as well to find out how it has a happy ending. So here's another question for you. Question 3, what does take up your cross and follow me mean today? You can read that in Luke chapter 16. What does it mean to take up your cross and follow me in today's culture and society? And question 4, what are the things that distract you or take your attention away from growing in God? And what are the things that help you, that keep you on track and keep you moving forwards in your relationship with God? And then the final section we looked at was journeying together. And we saw how Naomi, as an older woman of faith, became a bit of a role model and was able to pass down her kind of history of life in God down to Ruth. She was a bit reluctant at first, perhaps discounting herself from having anything to offer Ruth whatsoever, but God used Naomi incredibly to shape Ruth's life and to bring her into the family of God, actually. So question 5, who have been the Ruth and Naomis in your life, either in the past or currently? Who are the people who are investing in you or asking you those difficult questions, encouraging you, inspiring you? And who are the people that you're doing that for? Who are you passing on to? Who are you having round to kind of encourage and build them up? It might be your own children, it might be others. So why don't you take a few minutes to discuss that? And then finally, why don't you take some time to pray? Maybe you just want to pray in pairs around these different areas. So let's be really honest with each other. Are there areas here that you need God's help in committing to Him, committing to growth, committing to relationships? Are there areas of sacrifice that we need to lay down, things that have kind of taken the center stage that we need to lay down again? And does God want to speak to you about growing in relationships again? Are there individuals that God's putting on your heart to spend time with or to learn from? And let's finish by praying for one another, and have a great blessed week. Thanks.